So it is officially 2020. I say that as if it's like January. It's September. What a great way to start the video. This year and recent years have seen some pretty cool, new, exciting cars come out, of which the most recent, I would say, is the prototype, I guess, or the pre-production version, I suppose, of the 400Z. I believe that's the official name. I think right now it's called like the Proto Z or Z Proto or something. To start off, I think that's pretty cool that they're bringing back, or at least sort of like refreshing the name, I suppose, like the Z name. I know that's like a big thing in Nissan culture, I suppose, if that's even a thing. But here we are in 2020. We've got a new one coming out soon. I think next year will be its official release. And that's pretty exciting, actually. I think for a lot of people, including myself, I think it's kind of cool. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna go out and buy it or anything. And chances are a lot of you watching this video probably won't. So from what we know, it is a two-door coupe made by Nissan. Now, I'm not completely sure if it's a brand new car. I don't think it's a brand new car. I think it's more of an update, like a really heavy update on the 370Z. And when I say completely new, I mostly mean the chassis, because something tells me, just looking at it, it really obviously resembles the 370Z in a lot of ways, which isn't a bad thing. The 370Z was never bad for, or didn't have a bad rep for not having a good chassis. I think the thing it got a bad rep for was having outdated technology in a time where a lot of car companies are being more advanced and putting more technology and putting more features and making their sports cars more like consumer oriented, I suppose, and like just making them easier to live with every day and packing them with more in general, whereas Nissan and a few other companies haven't been keeping up as well. Technically speaking, I think it's been reported that it's going to have a 3-liter V6 twin turbo, which is derived from, I think, the Q60 Red Sport, which is I think the only car that has that engine right now, at least in that form. In the Infiniti, it makes 400 horsepower, and if the name suggests anything, maybe the 400Z will also have. How poetic would that be, right? It's like when Lamborghini calls the Aventador, like when it first came out, they called it the LP 700-4, right? The LP stands for something. I can never remember for the life of me. The 700 was supposed to be the horsepower, even though technically at the crank it only made 691, but you know, rounding up, it sounds better than LP 691-4. Anyway, back to our Nissan. The 400Z may have 400 horsepower, we don't know, or more likely, according to some sources, it's going to have around 300 horsepower and about 295 pound-feet of torque. I read that from one article, I don't remember which one. I think it was like Car and Driver or something like that. Either way, it's probably going to be around that power figure. Nissan promised that it's going to have a 6-speed manual, or at least it will be offered in a 6-speed manual. That was the official statement, I think, that they made at the, the reveal event, I guess. So that's good for a lot of people. Now, personally, I don't care if a car has a manual or not, to be honest. I know a lot of you car guys are going to be like, whoa, what do you mean you're a car guy that doesn't care about manuals? Now, for other people, yes, I want it to stick around, but me personally, I really don't care. I care more so about the car and its characteristic and its ability to allow you to have fun and facilitate that in whatever way. And if it's with a manual, that's fine. If it's not, that's fine with me as well. I'm not gonna lie, all the cars in like my top 3, top 5, top 10 all-time dream cars probably don't have manuals. I know for the fact that like top 3, top 5 don't have manuals. I don't know, that's just how it is. I guess that's just my personal taste in cars. Maybe your personal taste in cars, all top 3, top 5, top 10 favorite of all time dream cars have manuals, but I mean, I don't know, that's just how it is, I guess, in the car community. And it's the same with every fan base, I suppose, where you have people that like different things within that specific category of things that you're into. Moving back to the 400Z, most likely it'll be offered with either a 6 or a 7 speed, or maybe an 8 or 9 or 10 speed automatic. Probably not 10 or 9, but you know, probably a 7-speed automatic, seeing as Infiniti, I think, and Nissan, I suppose, have their 7-speed automatics too. So most likely we'll be seeing a 7-speed automatic, probably again from like Infiniti's range of powertrains. I imagine. Rear wheel drive, obviously. Front engine, 2-door. In my opinion, I think it came out at an interesting time because the new Supra has already come out. I think that was somewhat of a catalyst for this. Now, I don't know how long this has been in development. It's probably been in development for a long time. At least the concept was probably already going around, but the time to release like official statements and pictures and, you know, do their reveals and stuff obviously didn't happen until after the Supra came out, and a while after, might I add. So it's hard to say whether it's actually because of the Supra that this car came out. It might be true, it might not be. Either way, it's going to be targeted at the same market that the Supra covers. So I think it's going to be really interesting how that plays out, because the 370Z and 350Z never really had that direct of a competitor. I mean, obviously, if you think back to like 350Z or something like that, you can, you know, the Audi TT, you had the BMW Z4. Now that the new Supra's out, I think the 400Z has a really good chance at putting itself in the mix with a name like the Supra. Now, I have my own thoughts about the Supra as well. When it first came out, I was pretty neutral about it. You know, I didn't hate the fact that the Supra, you know, was helped by BMW or whatever. Here's the funny thing about that, actually. I think in one of David Patterson's videos, that dude in blue, if you don't know him, which if you're watching this and you don't know him, that's probably not the case. But if it's true, you're probably 1 in a million. I believe it was in one of his videos where he said the BMW 335i, I guess it was like the E90 generation or E92, 08 to like 13 kind of, I think. The same generation of the M3 that had the V8, that generation of 335i with the straight 6 turbo, was it twin turbo or just single turbo? I think, anyway, straight 6 turbo. I think it was him. I could be wrong, but I think it was him that referred to it as like the Supra, like the European Supra, or like the Supra of that era kind of, which I actually really agreed with, and is one of the reasons why I actually really like the 335i. It's kind of funny that like before people were saying, oh, the 335i is like the modern day Supra kind of, but now BMW had a hand in making the Supra. They're like, oh, it's, you know, blah, 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 it's sacrilege, or all this other crap that people are saying. I don't know, I don't think it was deserved. I think it's great that BMW helped Toyota with the Supra. I think only good things have come from it, really. I don't know what Toyota would have done if they were solely the only ones involved in making the Supra. Do I think they could have maybe given it a different name? Like, could they maybe have called it the Celica? Possibly. Again, I don't think that would have been as huge of like a market uproar as it would have been that they called it the Supra. Obviously, they had reason to call it that, you know. I'm not in their, you know, marketing strategy research department, but, you know, I think it's pretty obvious that if you market it as a Celica as opposed to a Supra, there's going to be different dynamics, you know what I mean? Now, the only reason why I think they should have called it the Supra, or not the Supra. The only reason why I maybe think they should have called it the Celica and not the Supra is because, here's the thing, the Supra is held up here, right? The Celica is kind of held down here. I think the actual Supra that came out is somewhere in between. If you market it as a Celica, people are going to think back to the old Celica, which is arguably not a great car. And the fact that they were going to update it to that point would have been a really good move. I think people would have seen the car that they made in a different light. And instead of saying, oh, it's not a true Supra because BMW helped develop it, instead maybe they would have said, oh, it's a Celica that also has a little bit of that sauce from like BMW, you know? And I feel like that would have totally shifted the perspective and the tone of how people talk about the new Supra, right? I don't know. Again, like I said, I know that naming a car one thing as opposed to the other, when one thing clearly has way more weight to it as opposed to the other, they have reason for that. But yeah, I think if they released it under the name of the Celica, I think that would have been, or something amazing. Or even, I don't know, maybe like the MR3 instead of the MR2, if they call it like the MR3. Again, that maybe would have been like, oh wow, it used to be this and now it's like this really cool like rear wheel drive, you know, front engine, 6-cylinder turbo, like 330 horsepower, whatever, right? When you call it a Supra, especially now with the hype culture and like everything that's happened with the Supra and like car culture, now it's like almost disappointing. Although there's nothing wrong with the car, don't get me wrong. There's literally nothing wrong with the car. If anything, it's pretty good, actually. Not that I've driven it or anything, but from what I've heard and from the people that have actually driven it, it's a really good car. But to call it a Supra, it's like, that's like saying you've seen Godzilla before and you show someone a picture of what you saw and it turns out to be like an alligator, you know? It's not the same, right? Whereas if you say, oh, I saw this big lizard before and it turns out to be this huge alligator, you're like, whoa, dude, that's an alligator. That's not a lizard, that's a friggin' alligator, right? I don't know if that's a good analogy, but I think you know what I'm getting at. So yeah, I just think that whole kind of time frame and how people viewed the Supra, and I guess now the 400Z, is interesting. And again, I don't know what's gonna happen to the 400Z when it comes out. maybe when it comes out with its production specs, it'll just over exceed people's expectations, and it's going to be like this great car that Nissan made, and it's going to be this huge, I mean, it kind of already is like a magazine cover topic, I guess, but maybe when it comes out and people actually test drive it, and if it's like really good, I think it's really cool that car companies are bringing back older names like the Supra, like the Ford Bronco that came out recently, not the Chevy Blazer. I mean, that thing is like the Equinox just shrunk. When am I going to learn to speak English? Now, as far as looks go, you've already seen the memes about it, right? The front grille looking like it's going to swallow the entire Euphrates River. I'm on the fence about it a little bit. It was kind of funny looking at Nissan's official post on Instagram about the car, and like everybody's commenting like, oh, but that front end though, you know, like, oh, that front grille. I just thought it was hilarious that everyone immediately just jumped on that one thing. As far as everything else goes though, for looks on the car, I think they did a lot right. In my eyes, it has a lot of resemblance to the 370Z, but then again, you know, it's sort of an evolution, I think, from that car. Whether it's all new or just like a heavily reworked version, it's a step forward from the 370Z. As you should be able to tell, since it's the 400Z, goes from 350, 370, and now it's at 400. What if the next Nissan Z car is a 420Z? With like 369 horsepower? Dude, that would, if that actually Nissan, if you make that happen, I'm gonna put a lot of money into your stocks, okay? Overall, I think it's been really great that all these new cars have been coming out. And I think it's only a matter of time before a new GTR comes out. Maybe this is like the preemptive test to see how a new Nissan performance car will do, because let's be honest, it's been over a decade since a new GTR, like a real new GTR. So who knows, they probably already are working on a new GTR. Yeah, the future of cars is uncertain, but it's exciting. It's fun to see how things develop, especially with the way the market shifts. I think it's really cool to see how things change. And I can only hope that the 400Z will be successful. I'm sure it will be in the aftermarket, because a twin turbo 3-liter V6 from Nissan that has less than like 500 horsepower sounds like tuner's wet dream to me. And already there's like the memes about wide body kits being developed / made already. So again, the memes don't lie. Thanks for watching this video. Tell me what you guys think about the new Nissan Z car. I'm sure people who want to buy it are extremely excited for it. I hope that it's a successful car and that it drives Nissan to do cooler things with their performance cars, or even develop new performance cars. So that's all I have to say for today. If you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing, or if you have been watching and you're not subscribed, do me a favor, put me in that algorithm. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.